Hello, and welcome to Career Bytes, a podcast and video series where I bring the best resources, guidance, and real life advice to help you ace your career and ace your life. If you are a job seeker or are looking to pivot in your career, tune into these episodes or leverage articles on our website at careeracers.com, where we offer tips, tricks, and tools to ace your career journey. I'm your host, Polaki, and I'm excited to help you ace your career and your life. With us today is Laurie Reuttimann, veteran HR specialist and popular podcast host who recently published her book, Betting on You: How to Put Yourself First and Finally Take Control of Your Career. Welcome to Career Bytes, Laurie. I am so excited to have you on the show today.
Oh, Jay, I am so honored to be here. Congratulations on kicking this off.
Absolutely. So I am going to begin by asking you the same dreaded interview question. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, there are a lot of different ways that I can answer that. The boring way is to tell you about my work in human resources, which has been there since Bill Clinton was president and people were watching Friends on TV, not in reruns, but the first time around. But I like to talk more about what I've done since working in HR, which is really helping people come to terms with their broken careers, their broken relationship with work, and to fix work by fixing themselves. And I work with executives, HR departments, and just rank and file corporate professionals to feel good about living a life at the intersection of passion and purpose and meaning, but also having good relationships at home.
And that's so important, right? If anything, over the past year, our lives have definitely changed and our work life has changed too. And your mantra, is to fix work by fixing ourselves first. And I love that about what you've written in your book.
Oh.
As a career coach and as an HR consultant, how are you leveraging technology in your work to help people do exactly that?
Well, it's interesting because technology is a double-edged sword. Technology can help you get the job, be seen, be visible, advocate your really big, beautiful, smart ideas, but technology can also become addictive. It can become an echo chamber, and it can certainly feel like an obligation and not something fun. I remind people that when they're stuck, technology can be the tool to bring them to a new community, to meet like minded people, to find new interesting ideas in the world. And I hope that once COVID becomes under control and we're all vaccinated and feeling a little bit better about going in the world, we can take some of those digital relationships and turn them into in real life relationships. So while I'm totally supportive of technology, I also know that human to human connection has to happen in the real world at some point in order for us to be happy, healthy, and well adjusted. So whether it's HR technology or social technology or platforms as a service, they're fine, but they definitely do not fill the gap for a human to human connection.
And that's so true, right? I mean, we are seeing it happen in real life now where we are trying to connect virtually, and definitely everyone's being challenged by this. Searching for a new job is one of the toughest and most exhausting and stressful things that anyone can do in their lives. And you know that as much as I do. And you also do know that, when you are on the job hunt, the mindset is everything.
Yeah.
So what's one piece of advice you have for folks who are, looking for a new position in the midst of this pandemic and they're having to do it on virtual platforms? What's the best advice you could give them?
Well, I tell people that a job search is really built on a good schedule. So you schedule in time to look for work. You try to take those relationships, those people that you know through LinkedIn, those connections, and convert them to phone conversations. But when that time is done on your calendar, you let it go and you invest in your well being. And I tell people all the time that when you invest in the personal, you take care of yourself, you elevate the professional. Nobody ever got a good job on 4 hours of sleep, staying up all night searching on the internet. You dedicate the time you dedicate on your calendar, you do really good work during that time, and you let it go and you live other aspects of your life. But Jay, I don't know about you. It's so easy to just whittle hours away on a computer, on a phone, looking at opportunities, chasing postings, trying to optimize your resume, and it's diminishing returns. That's what I think.
It's like a rabbit hole, especially when you're online. You
Oh,
can
for sure, for sure.
and one of the chapters in your book is called onboarding yourself like a boss, on the flip side of looking for a job. How best can new hires prepare themselves, for that virtual onboarding experience that is now here to stay and make those lasting connections in work and in life?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because here in the United States, I tell people don't rely on HR to introduce you to your team. You should go proactively, find out who's on your team, and be curious about their interests, about what they like, what they don't like. Connect with them on LinkedIn, get to know them a little bit, or lurk. When I share that information with international audiences, they hate that. They're like, what about privacy and blah, blah, blah. And I just think that nothing gets done in your first year of work anyway, unless you have good relationships. So don't outsource that. Don't trust a system that's probably going to let you down. Do what you can to make a connection and foster that connection before you start, and then use whatever nuggets of information to build on that relationship once you start.
Great advice. The first 90 days, so crucial, and beyond. Even day zero, even before you enter the workplace. So much,
That's
so
right.
much to do, right?
For
So
sure, for sure.
so in your book, you talk about putting ourselves first and
Mhm.
being the change that we wish to see in the world. Great quote, by the way, often attributed to Mahatma Gandhi. And I'm Indian before I'm American, so this resonated with me a lot. So, tell us how we can be our own advocates when systems and policies are failing around us at work.
Yeah. Really believe in four approaches to taking control of your life and your career and putting yourself first. The first is self leadership, which is really just the art and science of individual accountability. It's about being the CEO of your own life and recognizing systems and issues may fail around you, but ultimately you're responsible for your own choices, your own attitude, your own belief, your own mindset. So that's number one. Number two is investing in your well being, because if you're not investing in your physical, emotional, and financial well being, you won't be able to do anything great at work or in your personal life. The third is to always be learning. No matter what is going on around you, all learning is worthwhile. And sometimes the only learning we get is about the job we're doing today or maybe tomorrow. But our employers don't care about us and who we're going to be in 5 years, but we should care. So if you're curious about something, no matter how small, go to the University of YouTube and look it up. We are in the golden age of learning. There is really no excuse. Certifications, degrees are expensive, internet is free. And then finally, I believe in good old fashioned risk taking, but like a boss, but like a CEO, like a business. So be smart and try to de risk things before you actually do them. Figure out how they're going to fail before you actually do it and fix that, and you'll improve your chance of success. So when the world is going crazy around you and we're in COVID or a pandemic or an economic contraction, just even doing one of those four things, learning, taking better risks, focusing on your well being, or just being accountable, just one of those can move the needle a little bit forward and be the beginning of the change that's important in your life.
Love the University of YouTube. Definitely. Love
Yeah,
that.
I steal all my good stuff, Jay. That is not Laurie Reuttimann. That is pop culture.
So, the pandemic has definitely wreaked havoc on our mental health. You know, every one of us has challenges that we're facing. How can we invest in our well being in a way that would actually make our jobs easier?
Well, what a big question. And therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists are all grappling with that. I know what has worked for me, and that is really investing in how I care for myself individually on a personal level. eating nutritious foods meant for me to move and not just meant to fuel me through the next meeting has been crucial. Drinking water, getting movement. But all of that can't happen in a bubble. It has to happen with good time management, good calendar management. And how does that happen? By being able to set boundaries. And so often we say, oh, I can't possibly do that. These are feelings and they're valid, but feelings aren't facts. And you should feel your feelings. I can't possibly say no to this meeting. I can't possibly say no to this event. And then ask yourself, is it true? Or do I have a minute to think about this? And maybe if it is true, can I deal with it in a different way? But that boundary setting allows you to manage your calendar better, which allows you to manage your personal life better. And when you manage your personal life better, you elevate your professional life.
Absolutely. And that's so true, right? Everything that we do outside of work comes back into the workplace in some form or fashion. And if we are kind of blinded to that and we're not taking that into account, we're losing a huge part of bringing that whole self to work perspective.
That's right. Well, and I'm so glad you asked about well-being because I think so many people think it means self-care or buying something, buying bubble bath and buying beauty products or buying super comfy clothes. And we're going to buy ourselves into being broke and still feeling miserable. So self-care is really about the respect and dignity you treat your body, your heart, your mind, and your soul. That's what I think.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. It's definitely an insight that I'm going to take into account for my own personal well-being journey in 2021.
Yeah, stop spending money, right? That's the well-being journey.
Absolutely. Well, I'm already broke, so that's not going to work. I'm not doing anything.
Terrible.
So this brings us to the fun part of today's conversation. Not that this wasn't fun till now, but it's funner part of the conversation. Who's one person you think we should all connect with when it comes to learning more about our career journeys and career growth that you've gained in your network in this past year?
Oh, in the past year, that's a really good question. Time is a messy bubble. So I don't know who has come into my life only just this past year. I mean, besides Jay, I mean, you're lovely. But I feel as if one person I want to recommend that everybody connect with, and she's been in my life forever, is my friend Jennifer McClure.
Oh, I love
Jennifer
her.
McClure. Yes, she has changed my life. And I write about her in my book. She's a wise, wise individual who's got great things to say. And whether you've known Jennifer for 9 years or you've known her for 9 months, whatever that time period is, there's always something new to learn from her. So let me break your rule already on this podcast and give you Jennifer McClure.
Awesome. I'll take it. What's your favorite career, or work-related podcast other than Punk Rock HR, which is my favorite?
Well, I like Redefining HR by Lars Schmidt. I think that's an excellent podcast, and he's got an accompanying book out right now. I always learn a thing or two about progressive ways of dealing with people and with HR. And although I am incredibly cynical, when I listen to Lars's podcast, I actually have a little bit of hope about the world of HR. So I would recommend that.
Thank you. And I'll link that in the show notes for the audience. Do you have a favorite LinkedIn learning or e-learning webinar that you would encourage career professionals who are seeking career growth to watch and learn from? I know you have a set of series on LinkedIn Learning. And in addition to that,
I have so many. Like, I love this woman named Jody Glickman, who is always writing about like communication and branding and how you put yourself out into the world. So she's incredibly great. I like Dory Clark for her leadership. So those are two right there that I think you can connect with and learn a lot from both of those women.
I love Dory Clark. I've been following Dory for I think 5 years now. And every time she has so many nuggets, right?
So smart. So smart. And whether it's, leadership or personal development or performance or, communicating more effectively, she nails it.
And I like her book, Reinventing You, as well. It's really a great book.
It's a classic. It's a classic.
It is.
Yeah.
So, Laurie, you give back to the community in many, many ways. I read your posts a lot, and I love your take on how you're giving back and how people are, receiving it. How do you enjoy giving back to the career development community, the career coaching community?
Yeah, that's a really great question. The one way to give back is to be connected with other career coaches and give them space to talk about themselves and their own career journey. I think it's kind of almost like Stockholm syndrome. You're always talking to people and you're like in it, and you're giving them advice, and it's very difficult to take your own wise advice. So I connect a lot with my friend Michael Bungay Stanier, who gives me that space to talk about my career and what I want, where I'm going. And he's got a great book out called The Coaching Habit that was very influential for me. And so I try to pay that forward and talk to other career advisors and check in with them and ask them how they're doing, what they're working on, what their challenges are, and how I might be helpful. And I don't prescribe any ideas. I just ask, is there something I can help you with? And if I have some thoughts, I ask, I have some thoughts. Do you want to hear them? And often they say yes. So
Wonderful. So, if we were to turn your book into a flip book, what's one chapter you'd pick for us to do that?
I like chapter 8, which is all about quitting. I think that was probably the most fun chapter for me to read. It does include my friend Jennifer McClure. It includes stories of people getting fired, but it also includes my favorite advice in the book, which is how to ask for severance. Because I think a lot of people quit a job and they don't realize that executives never quit a job. They always leave with money in their pocket. What's the difference between you and executives? It's mostly your mindset. So I teach asking for severance in my coaching practice, and I attempt to teach it in the book.
And I love the story you have. I'm not going to reveal the story, but the $200 that you first made when you were quitting your first job.
I was fired, and yes, and it's a fun little story about how I failed bussing tables at a German restaurant in Chicago.
I loved it. I love the book. So, audience, if you'd like to connect with Laurie, she's all over the internet. But Laurie, do you have a favorite way to connect with your, target audience?
Yeah, I tell people to find me at punkrockhr.com, and you can fall into the ecosystem that way. But honestly, Jay, you could probably just Google "I hate HR" and I come up. So I'm in there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Laurie. You really brought so much fun into my life with your podcasts and your writing and your books. I look forward to collaborating and learning more from you in the future. And I'm sure everything you've said today is going to resonate with our global audience a lot. So thank you.
Thank you. And I wish everybody out there tremendous success in their careers. I hope they stay safe. We're so close to the end of this period in our lives that we have to make it without inviting sickness into our lives. So mask up, social distance, physical distance, all very important. Stay safe and connect with me so we can have great careers in 2021 and beyond.
Thank you. And thank you, audience, for tuning in today and listening to the great Laurie Reuttimann. I've learned a lot, and I hope you did too. And I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.